Glad to see you can make it. All right. We got two in here, one for the troopers and one for the other. All right. We'll get started. Transportation Committee, we got a quorum. Yes. We're going to take up, first of all, we'll take up the two resolutions that has come out of our subcommittee, and I will this time recognize our chairwoman of that subcommittee to give us a report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The subcommittee met and we voted approved LC 390692S in totality and LC 390691S, both of which were passed out of the subcommittee with due pass, all favorable.
All right. Y'all did an outstanding job. All right. Now, we have also under consideration, if you will look in your folder, there's supposed to be two of these. There's supposed to be two.
Right. Oh.
There's actually supposed to be two of these. Did we get one?
They're all in
one
section.
Okay, you got them both put them in?
And then chief.
Okay, all right. That's why I have good staff. Keep me straight. All right. We have an amendment that's offered by our Speaker of the House, Speaker Ralston, and being as he wasn't able to be here, I'll present it for him. I don't think I'll have any objections from anybody. If you do, I'm not going to recognize you for that purpose. So, but you should see the amendment in here. This was one they were trying to get in the last minute, and I just told them we'd take and put it in as an amendment. Being he's the speaker, he would rather it be in a House bill than in a Senate bill. So he just has two different road namings here that we will offer to go in the LC 390692S, which is the substitute to HR 1544.
LC 390691. That's the 692 is the trooper. Okay, 691. 691.
No, 691 is the troopers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, six. All right, let's make sure we're gonna get this right. The amendment is being offered to HR 1544 sub, which is LC 390692S. So, which is part of HR 1544. Who's 23? You're recognized for that purpose.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we do pass LC 390692 as amended with AM 390058.
All right. We've got a motion. We got a second.
Second.
All right. Second. Any other further discussion? Chair hearing none at this time. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? And this will pass out as a sub. You got that? Okay. All right. Now we're going to take up LC 390691S, which is the substitute to HR 1200. This is the one that has the troopers that have been killed in the line of duty. As most of you know, last year we did half of them last year, and this is just the other half of them this year. It is my understanding that once we pass this one, that we will be caught up with all that have passed away in the line of duty as far as our state troopers. Let's hope we don't have to do any more of these. Oh, second, no, we just done one last year and this year. Okay, well, you and somebody may have personally done it, but this is what the State Patrol actually brought us. Oh, really? Okay. Well, okay, and this is the third one. Okay. But this will actually catch all of them up. So Any questions about this? If not, do I entertain a motion? Got a motion, got a second. Any further discussion? Chair hearing none. At this time, all those in favor of the substitute to HR 1200 signify by saying aye. All those opposed, like sign. Of course, there are none. All right, and that'll move on as a substitute as well. All right, we also, do we have, who is the, where is, do we have Representative Sharper? There you are, okay. Representative Sharper, you want to sit or you want to stand? It's up to you. Whatever you want to do. You want to stand? Start out standing. We are now going to take out the substitute to House Bill 367, and it come out of the subcommittee. Ooh, let's see. Chairman Benton is here. Mandy, you were on that. You wasn't there. All right. Anyway, we have a do pass recommendation as amended or in the subcommittee, so it come out as now a sub HB 367. So at this time, we will recognize Representative Sharper for the purpose of introducing his bill.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. First of all, the first thing I'm going to tell you is, other than the part that we added on, this is actually a live law as we speak. It was done 5 or 6 years ago, and the law is doing well. Only thing that we're doing is we're giving the city and county governments a little discretion in regards to this particular bill. And ACCG and GMA, they actually, the part that you see that's added, they gave me that particular language and everything about it, and they are okay with it. And they tweaked the little language a little bit in the subcommittee. The DOT is fine with it. ACCG is fine with it. GMA is fine with it. And all we're doing, like I say, is just giving them some discretion in regards to this law that's already in place. That's it.
Does everybody understand what he is trying to do with this? You might want to explain it in a little more detail there, Representative Sharper.
All right, the detail is, in particular areas, the city, when someone goes before the city and county governments at this time, they can't do anything with this particular law, no kind of discretion, no kind of waivers, because the legislator put this into law. All right, when the city and county government zoning and people like that, staff goes to DOT, DOT says, we can't do anything, our hands are tied because of the state legislator. So all this does is untie the hands of the city and county governments to be able to work within this law.
I'm going to try to help you on this a little bit, Representative.
Okay.
Bill, basically, right now under current law, you can't have a billboard within 500 feet of a cemetery or a park or anything like that unless it's obstructed. What he's seeking to do is allow the city and the county to have some leniency on to be able to go into, if they want to change this and allow there to be a permit that could possibly be issued. It's not guaranteed to be issued, but possibly be issued for a certain circumstance that may occur where you may have a 4-lane divided highway or whatever, and it's less than 500 feet, but in other words, it's across 4 lanes of a divided highway from a cemetery or park or whatever it may be. So is that not correct?
Right, that's correct. Because, you may get in a situation where you're at the 499 mark, and the way it stands, the city or county can't do anything to help you at all.
Okay.
So.
Chairman Reinders?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the sponsor of the bill. I've watched this movie before, so I just want to make sure you get what you need out of this.
Okay.
Is there a limit in which the municipality in question must take action on the request?
At this time, the way that this stands in regards to this particular situation, they don't have any say-so, but they do, most cities and counties have, they have ordinances that will have a certain distance in different situations. So, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, I worded it poorly.
Okay.
We just watched a cell tower debate up here.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving them authority. For this authority, you're asking, can I have a waiver at the local level, which is local control I love, but I'm cautioning you, I'm trying to help you, that there's nothing in this that forces them to take an action and can frankly sit on the desk and nothing happen. And you've gained nothing but give them the authority to do nothing.
Okay.
I would strongly urge you, Mr. Chairman, to do like we did cell towers, which is put a reasonable amount of time that they have to take action, yes or no.
Well,
Representative Williams, I heard something I thought was positive. Answer the request, one way or the other.
well, here's, I mean, and I don't know exactly where you're going, but let me say one thing with this. As it stands, and we'll get past this point, as it stands, they have no say-so in this issue. If you go to the county, city, whatever, their staff and the zoning boards, all they can do is tell you, we can't even say anything about this. You got to go to DOT, and DOT is going to say, we can't say anything about it. So at this time, one thing is to get them to have some discretion. Then at some point, if it becomes an issue, then for them to make a decision on it. All we're trying to do is allow them to have some say-so at this time. That's it.
I'm sorry, can I try one more attempt at this apple?
Yeah.
So you're going to say, let me know if I can have a waiver.
Say it again.
This bill right now, the locals can do nothing. They say my hands are tied.
Right.
And then you said, okay, I'm giving you the authority to give me a waiver.
Okay.
Right?
Right. I'm giving the government, right.
Right. And then they look at you and they go, okay, I'm not going to do anything, one way or the other. You're fine with that?
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. It's just giving them the authority to decide what they want to do. I don't understand why you wouldn't want them to tell you yes or no, just like they did cell towers. Well,
within a reasonable length of time. Why wouldn't you want to hear a yes or a no so your client can decide to go get another billboard or whatever? Why wouldn't you want that?
Well, let me see if I can follow you on this.
He's trying to help you.
I am trying to help you, and
He's trying to help you.
I feel like I'm getting.
I mean, whatever you feel. I'm step one.
We have watched this movie in here, haven't we?
Okay, well, here it is. My step one is allow them to have some discretion. If you want to help me with step two to make it even better, let's do that. I'm open to that 100%.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me ask you this. I know it's late in the session, but a little friendly amendment along the line that Representative Ryder is talking about, because unfortunately, folk will sit on a request and people still won't get anything done. And what we've got is a nice requirement with no date certain, and you're sitting there waiting, and unfortunately it happens. We've seen it with the cell towers. Let Representative Ryder or someone put a friendly amendment on there with a date certain, and then I think your bill is dressed up and ready to go to church.
Okay, I mean, I'm open to that 100%.
We'll get to that point in a minute. Let's but he's giving you some good advice. Right. Representative Prince.
No, I pass. He got.
Okay. All right. Do we have anybody that wants to speak on behalf or for or against this piece of legislation? Everybody's looking around at each other. As they say now or forever hold your peace. It is amazing to me that you don't have anybody here on this bill. That's what you get when you get a bill late in the year and it's late at night. People leave. But all right.
Could I make a statement?
You absolutely can. Go ahead.
Representative, I served on a commission in a county, and billboard people, if that's what this is concerning?
Well, yes. In regards to the law, the way it stands, right?
The way it stands now. And there was constant people wanting to go encroach closer and closer to interstate exits or on-ramps or whatever. And I'd like our country to be as free of signs as possible, still allowing for free enterprise to take its effect. But I'm not sure, I'm not against it, but I'm not really in favor of shortening the distances for signs.
Okay.
How would you answer that?
Okay, the way it stands, and I served on the city council, things like that. All right, most cities and counties, they have some type of ordinance already, assigned ordinances and things like that. So I think the power that they already have in doing a great job of distances and keeping people's, their concerns in check, they're doing a great job. Okay, this doesn't guarantee that particular thing that will happen. And like he's saying, even though it gives them the discretion, they still have the option to say no or yes. It's totally up to the city and county governments to do it at that point.
But someone, the state has made the the law stating that it had to be 500 feet.
Right, and that will remain from the distance of your regular billboard, things that you have going now between 500 from the next one, that's not going to change at all whatsoever, because it has nothing to do with the law that's already in place. You see what I mean? It's not going to change the distance. The one that's already in law, 500, then you got to have 500 feet. That's not going to change at all, period.
So what's the 200 then? What are you trying to change?
Are we looking at do you have the right bill?
Substitute. We may have the substitutes in there.
Does anybody have something that has 200 on it?
Oh,
Y'all all have that one?
There it is. Yeah, he's changing from 500 to 200.
No, that's not what we're on.
no. It's
We're not changing
LC
anything.
390621S.
Okay, I stand corrected then.
Yeah, if you have the one that says
Okay.
200,
I'll back
that's
off.
that's
I'll leave.
off completely.
You have the right, no, absolutely, to share concerns.
Right,
Yeah,
and that's
okay.
and I think originally you had the 200 on there, but ACCG and GMA said, don't do that, leave it the way it is, and just give them some discretion. That's it.
Okay,
Huh?
all right. So at this point, right now, here's where we stand. We have the LC 390621S.
Okay.
Substitute to House Bill 367. This bill just gives the discretion, as it's written, to the locals to whether they want to vary away from the 500 feet.
Right.
Now, Representative or Chairman Reinders and Representative Williams has given you some good advice.
Okay.
Do you, at this time, Chairman Reinders, do you wish to offer any language on this? Chairman Reinders.
Well, if you talk long enough, you might bite back. I just want to go back and ask some questions.
Okay.
What does current law say, Mr. Chairman?
Current law basically says that you can't have a billboard within 500 feet of a park or cemetery without it being obstructive. In other words, it's got to be behind a building or something like that. It can't be within sight.
All right, Mr. Chairman, may I continue?
Yeah, absolutely.
To the author of the bill, it was your original intent to go to 200?
Right.
And what you're telling me is that since ACCG and the Municipal Association told you they wouldn't support that, you withdrew your own thought?
No, they didn't say that they wouldn't support it. They offered that to me for that purpose. And at that point, in looking at the amount of highway, let me just give an example. If you have, let's say, a cemetery and is across from, we would say, basically 20 lanes of traffic, all the way over, even at that point, you still wouldn't be able to put a billboard up. So at that point, because we already had the situation of having problems with things going through the city and the county, and their hands were tied. So as we looked at that, we wanted to look at more of giving them some discretion. Because, I respect the GMA, ACCG as a city councilman, and I respect what they were saying. And so I just wanted to say, hey, look, let it be up to them, get it off of our back in a sense, and let them handle the local control where the actually parks and things are. So that was it.
I want to say this, Chairman Reynolds, if you will hold on for 1 second. He's trying to help you, but Chairman Burns, who was actually the author of the original billboard bill, as it was so graciously called, is looking right now. I'm not 100% sure. He and I were just talking that within that legislation that we didn't give the locals the authority to set those boundaries. Now, this may be the one point within there that we may give them to set those boundaries, but they couldn't come within 500 feet. I'm not positive. We're checking that right in this minute.
Right.
Because I do know what I think current law says, but we're also going to make sure. I have been wrong once or twice.
It's a rare occasion with Chairman.
It is a very rare occasion that that's the case.
He thought he was wrong 3 times, but he was mistaken.
That's right. I was mistaken. All right. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to suspend on this bill right this minute and let them look at that. If you don't mind, just stay where you're at. And while we are checking on that, I want to look at taking up House Resolution 1573, and if it's okay with the committee, I will. If y'all don't mind, I'll just continue to sit here and chair this. This is a resolution that I've got that I've introduced yesterday, a joint study committee on the critical transportation infrastructure funding and for other purposes. This goes back to a little bit of what I talked about the other day in here about starting a discussion and all about where we're going with funding here in the state of Georgia. We have it down. It's a 16-member chairman of the House and the Senate, 3 appointed by the Speaker, 3 appointed by the pro tem or the lieutenant governor, 1 citizen member appointed by each, the president and chief executive officer of the chamber, the metro chamber or their designee, ACCG, GMA, Georgia Centers of Innovation, and the Ports Authority, trying to bring everybody into the table. Now, Representative Gardner and I have had some conversation about the possibility of going back in, and we may do it over in the Senate, getting them to add the GDOT planning director on here, possibly. And also, and she has a valid point about making one of the members that's appointed by the Speaker and one by the President of the Senate a member of the minority party, and I have no objection to that. If you would like to, we can. Jenna, you think if we made those changes, you could have the sub ready by tomorrow? So we could, if y'all want to make those changes here, if you would like to do that, Representative Gardner, I want to recognize you for that at this time if you want to.
I guess it isn't time for a motion yet, but I would appreciate the chairman's willingness to take a look at appointing members of the minority caucus as well. And it seemed to me there should be some planning person. I mean, because we're looking at I suppose the people who will be reporting to the Transportation Infrastructure Funding Committee will be planners, but it just seemed to me that maybe the person, I don't know if he works for the governor or GDOT, but the planning director for the state of Georgia might need to be on this. Seemed more important to me than the centers of innovation, but whatever you think.
We can let's keep that director in there, and let's just if it's okay with the committee, we'll look at adding on number 11 the planning director of.
I think he's a state health planning director. I don't think he's GDOT's planning director. You know?
Do what now?
Well, remember we created a special position.
He's a planning director at GDOT. Yeah.
But he reports to the governor, doesn't he?
But he's under GDOT.
Okay.
He's actually underneath
whatever.
him.
You make.
The planning director of GDOT or his designee.
Yep, thank you.
Um,
I appreciate this, the willingness to make that adjustment, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. And then on number 3, 3 representatives,
One of whom will be from the minority party.
one of whom will be from the minority party. And we'll do that on line 39. Chairman Reinders.
Okay, now you're starting to pique my curiosity here, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
Since we got 3 representatives on there and one's from the minority party, do we have anything that says that the others shall come within the ARC or outside?
No. This is,
Statewide.
Yeah, right. That's still my point.
I got what you're saying. You're talking about having one rule and one metro.
Well, if we're going to go minority, if that minority happened to be, frankly, with all due respect, from, I don't know, hypothetically, DeKalb County, and the 2 others came from Cobb and Gwinnett, then I start getting a little heartburn from Ocilla.
I got you. I
Using
got
that
you.
as a hypothetical or midway.
I understand.
I know, but that's why I didn't want to bring you into the mix. Augusta.
Well, you might be considered metro. I wanted to see how you'd react to that. What about you, cheerleader? Well, cheerleader Sims, what about you? What you think? Is Augusta metro? No. Just having some fun. All right. We done got a little more complicated into what we were going to do. We're going to add number 11, the planning director of GDOT. We will, on number 3 and number 4, we will add 1 member of the minority party and 1 of the 3 representatives from being outside of the ARC region.
2 from outside the ARC, did you say?
1.
Let's look at population.
Yeah, I'm on there. So,
But that would only be for the purposes of right now. I just think of Georgia as the future moves forward too. If he wasn't the chair and the metro was from Atlanta,
well, we probably wouldn't have this study committee.
then that would actually give a 4
Yeah,
generation.
this study committee was just going to be there. So let's do that, Jenna. Outside the ARC region. That's a defined region. All right, is everybody okay with that?
That's ridiculous.
1 outside the region. Everybody okay with those? Okay? All right. At this time, then, as amended, 1570, House Resolution 1573, as amended. Do I hear a motion? So moved. Second. Any further discussion? Chair hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed. All right. Has Chairman Burns got back in? If y'all don't mind, here he comes in now. About to say, stand at ease.
They have local control over the portions of the law that we addressed in the bill. This part was not addressed in the bill.
Okay. All right. Back up, Representative Sharper. You're back under the gun again. All right. So,
Gotta sit down now.
I
told you.
Well, I told you when you introduced this,
I
it
know I
wasn't
was
as simple as you thought.
Sit down.
You want to sit down there? All right. Here we go. All right. So, we are now taking backup action on HB 367, the substitute to it, LC 390621S. And Chairman Reinders, did you come up with some language or?
Chairman, I regret to say that I haven't. I just thought that it was worthy of a discussion.
I think it's definitely worthy of discussion.
We've watched this movie, but the time frame, I can't tell you whether 30 days should be reasonable enough to know whether yes or no, or 90 days, or I don't know what the correct amount of time is.
Let's see if Chairman Hamilton's sitting next to you. He's got something he wants to add.
Well, I'm gonna complicate it even more.
You're supposed to be on.
12.
If it's not full, Chairman Reiner's over there. Unfortunately, we're on TV now.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
in your Oscilla wisdom, would you do me a favor
Sure.
and tell the whole committee, I know I'm the only one lost here for a moment, but would you tell the whole committee exactly what your understanding of this bill does so that when we start adding this language to, I think there's a little bit of confusion over exactly what this exemption or this ability for the local government to do. Would you give us that wisdom, and then I think it'll be a little bit easier for us to craft a deadline on that. That would help me out anyway.
In my country attorney language, I would tell you current law states that you cannot have a billboard within sight. It has to be obstructed within 500 foot of cemeteries and parks and all, as we talk about in here, playgrounds and so forth. His bill, as it is now, the substitute, allows local governments to give that leniency or to issue that permit within that 500-foot radius, is my understanding.
Okay, so all we would need to do then, if we were going to put that, is we would deal with the section on line 21, the governing authority within, or has granted a waiver of such district requirement within a time period. It'd be that simple then, if that's what we want to do. So, of such district requirement would be within 30 days, within 45 days, within whatever the reasonable time frame. That's the way I read that. Then.
Whatever is the wisdom of this committee. I'm giving you what I understand. I am letting y'all have the authority, if you want to put that in there or not.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to
Chairman Reinders.
Thank you. I'd like to quiz a little further and talk with my colleagues. I want the local control issue. But this committee in the state of Georgia made, in its wisdom, a reason for why 500 feet was a golden number. When we talk about it, let's be reasonable here. When we talk about it in terms of what if it was $4.99? Well, you know what? If it's $4.99, I don't care. But we also have to use the extreme on the other end. And that is, if it was 2 feet away, I wouldn't want the city and the county to have that authority. How we split that baby ultimately is in what's in the best interest of the community. The truth of the matter is that I think 500 feet, there's a reason that was established. I think 50 feet's too close. There's a part of me that sits there and goes, you know what, if it's within 10% of the 500 state guideline, then they got 30 days to tell you yes or no one way or the other. Next. If it's in 10%, that give them the waiver on 10%, not the whole 500 yards. Give them a waiver on 100 feet, not the whole 500 yards. If they put a billboard up and some city granted them that authority 5 feet from a cemetery or whatever, I don't think that's our intent here, and I don't think it's yours. I don't think that's yours. To be 5 feet from a recreation center? No. So why are we giving that authority blanketly? So I would really think that the correct way to do this is to say within 500 feet, if it's within 20% of a variance of that, that's a whole nother 100 feet. Then you know what? They get 30 days or 60 days to say yes or no. That's reasonable to me, something along those guidelines. And I'd love to hear from my other colleagues because they just know so much more about this than I do.
We got several lines. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm inclined to agree with the 20% because I know the intent of the 500 for 20% good. I would hate to see the ABC vault company advertising 150 feet from the cemetery, you know, and that might sound a little extreme, but it can happen. I would give the 20% variance in 45 days, and I think we could.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Me being a part of the city council and looking at how things go with the staff and with their zoning commissions, planning commissions, things like that, I think we're still, believe it or not, we're still tying up the hands of these people in a sense, the DOT. I mean, that's where this whole thing came from, to where the DOT was having people to come to them about these issues. And the DOT said, well, it has to be changed law-wise. But
that's because they don't want to tell them that they took ownership, and that's what they recommend to us.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that works. You know,
we
point fingers at the air.
Right. Any reason, Chairman Burns, any reason why they didn't put this in it? Was it specifically said that we're not going to deal with this portion because we want to just keep it there, or you just...
We didn't address this part.
So it wasn't addressed at all. But, so that's the thing that I'm looking at. I don't think that you have a lot of city and county governments would just say, okay, let's put it up 100 feet close or 200 feet. I think they will look at this law into where it is and be reasonable in protecting the rights of the people to still say, look, we're not going to put this thing 150 feet away. If you have a little store, let's just say you have Checkers or one of those places, you can actually have a cemetery, 2 lanes of traffic, one of those little checker buildings, restaurants, and then have a billboard on the other side, which will be within 150 feet now as the way it is. So it has that obstruction, but is it really an obstruction in the front of it? So I don't know why they didn't address it, or if it's just an oversight of them addressing it. If they gave them the opportunity to have discretion on the other part of the billboard stuff, I'm wondering why they're not giving them discretion here. You see?
All right, we're going to start with Representative Ballinger. She is a bright attorney, so she might come up. You're good?
It's mine.
I was bragging on you.
It's mine.
Oh. Chairwoman
Clark, thank you
Clark.
so much. You are such a talented
Uh-oh.
man, and I really appreciate this bill. I just really do. I really do feel as if Chairman Reinder's amendment is very generous, because it does not state that it can't be across the street. It could be 1 foot. So I think putting it into code like this is a very generous way to handle this variance.
All right. Representative Watson.
Well, I was just curious, Representative, what brought this about?
Oh.
Tell about your constituent.
Huh? Oh, you asking me?
Yeah, he was asking you.
Yeah.
What the deal? I thought you said Watson.
I did. He asked you a question.
Yeah, I was just curious what brought this on.
Okay, I'm sorry. Y'all sound so much alike. I thought you were talking. Hey, we're South. Hey, we're South Georgia guys.
You from South Georgia too? I mean.
But what brought it on is when the DOT basically said they had people to come up in that issue and their hands were tied. The city and county government said, we want to be able to look at this thing, and they said we can't even look at it because it's not in our hands. So DOT, I spoke with them, they said, it's out of our hands. We can't do anything. So if we want them to have some discretion or whatever, something has to be done with the law.
So we had private business that wanted to put signs up within 200 feet of public property, and the state told them they couldn't.
Exactly right. It's not only them. I mean, it's just the whole sight of it being put in here. Like we said, we was looking at the 200 because what they said to me is a particular locations when you have even the interstates, and like I said before, 20 lanes of traffic, that's still not 500 feet. You see, so therefore that's the way it comes up. It's still not 500 feet, and it's way across, and you still can't put it up. So the land rights of some people, they can't do anything with it if it's across from a cemetery, and certain areas are developing. It's not like it used to be. You have a lot of places where they're coming from the interstate, and you got developments coming through. You got old cemeteries that was there 50 years ago. So the development are changing. So that's why they saying they can't do anything with it. So I was just thinking, well, we put it in their hands, put it in the city and county government hands to make the decision.
Representative Gardner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm remembering the rather hot discussion about the billboard bill to begin with, and what you have better forgetting than I do. So, if what we are doing is we're giving discretion to cities and counties, we're basically doing away with what the billboard law currently says.
In regards to this particular, but not everything else, as far as those other distances and, you know, billboards from each other, that doesn't change at all.
I just have concerns about the garden club ladies showing up and what their feeling about this would be.
Well,
I mean,
she came through the subcommittee.
And what did she say?
She thought we was changing. She thought that would be affected by changing. Like first she had a 200 thing. She came to that and she said, well, she's going to talk about it anyway. But the issue wasn't the issue of the distance and feet and things. It was mainly the discretion and giving the city and county some type of say-so in this whole thing.
But everybody's in some county. Is that not true?
Right.
So it could happen in any county, regardless of how close things were together, or.
Right, but it'll be up to them. I mean, that's exactly what it'll do. It'll put it in the hands of the city and counties. But I think we have good cities and counties that have garden club ladies and people looking at their landscape ordinances and the sign ordinance and things like that. So I don't think you can automatically have a county or city that say, okay, look, let's put it there. I mean, you still got to go through the proper advertisements and things like that to get these things done anyway. They're regular sign ordinances.
I'm just telling you, I am reluctant to make this change at this point. So I just want to go on record.
Right. I would think that, you know, you may have some signed ordinances that will say, look, no matter what you're doing, we still not going to let it be within 400. You see, if they had the discretion.
Well, they could allow within 5.
They can put it in 5.
All right, hold on.
Right.
I'm gonna give everybody.
Well, let's come with some solutions. I mean, that's what I'm about. I'm not a hard head. I'm like, I gotta trust y'all. I'm just one me. Like the guy had the thing going the other day. But anyway,
I can tell you the garden clubs ain't in favor. Okay,
right.
We all know that.
Right.
All right, let's see. Representative Williams, shed some light on here, folks.
And I know you thought you had a little old simple bill when you came in.
No, he was warned ahead of time.
You were warned, though. And you came anyhow.
I'm going to lay down next. Is there a place I can lay down?
No, because it won't help. It won't help. Let me tell you the only thing that's going to help you right now. I'm going to try, if the chair is so inclined, because I taste in the back of my mouth some blueberry delight. And you got me. I'm glad you picked it up. I'm going to offer at the appropriate time a motion to make this no more than a 20% variance and 45 days to answer. No more than 20%. And that's about as good as, because believe me, this is a rocky, rough road, and it's tough, but and 20% is about as good as I think I'd be willing to at the appropriate time.
All right. Chairman Reinders, we got a few more.
All right, I'm going to defer to Chairman Hamilton and then offer the Reinders-Williams amendment at the appropriate time.
Well, you're going to have to use Chairman Hamilton, use Chairman Reinders, because yours was tore up a while ago.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I've heard now twice the right word, and that's variance. That's really what we're talking about. And my question is, why do you need 20% variance when it's 500 feet? It's simply 100 foot variance.
Well, let the chair remind the committee. Y'all know that we have done variances and weight and all that, and we've always had to come back and correct because of issues out there.
Because we all sound alike.
Because we all sound alike. Some not understanding the law quite right as far as the variance goes. But that'll be up to y'all in a minute to offer. But I think our attorney, or is that you? Which one of y'all is 20?
Mr. Chairman, I had one.
What? Oh, you okay? Wait a minute.
I had
Okay,
one
wait.
more.
Let me go back to Chairman
that was
Hamilton.
one,
I'm sorry.
And that was one, and I also find it very interesting or strange that we're talking about local ordinances and we've not heard from anybody from ACCG or GMA. We also are having an impact on revenue of billboard companies, because as you compact the distances between billboards, you actually are affecting the competition and addressing the value of such billboards, and we've not heard from them other than that. And just
well, I will say this, just from the billboard, Connor was not able to be here today, and
I've been texting.
That they're neutral. They're neutral.
No, that's right. But
yeah.
I just but the local government. I know we have many people on the committee that, but I find it interesting that they convince the author what changes to make, and then they're not here.
Sure.
Well, they were at the subcommittee, but one thing I'll mention about the 400, about the situation of you saying the billboard companies not being here, we gotta still understand that this has nothing to do with, this will not change. Even if you change the 400, if you change this to 400, it does not affect the 500 from one billboard to the next, the 500 feet. That doesn't change whatsoever at all. They can't change that, because when they did the other one, Chairman Burns, when they did the other one, that's what happened. But this, if you change this to 400, it still doesn't affect the 500 to 500.
Thank you. I only spent 8 years on that billboard bill, so I appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for schooling them.
Right. Well, not really schooling, no disrespect to it, but it's just, I was just saying that you were saying that this would change that.
All right, hold on. We got hold on. Wait, Chairman Reinders. I'm gonna come back to you.
All right.
I gotta go to. Okay, we're gonna go to Representative Clark first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, once again, I'm just a little bit concerned about the billboard companies coming and stating that they have First Amendment rights, and then possibly trying to persuade city councils to allow them to have this variance, that it would be much closer than 400 feet. So if we don't table it, I'm totally, again, in favor of Mr. Reinders and Mr. Williams' amendments.
Oh, I am too.
You might want to hear it.
Oh, okay. Uh-oh.
Yeah, to be careful to speak too quick. All right. Representative. Whoa, let me get you on. We on TV. We got my buttons. I'm getting messed up. I keep thinking it is Valerie, or excuse me, Representative Clark is 24, and Mandy, or Representative Ballinger. I'm getting y'all backwards. All right. Same thing. All right. Now let's see. I'm going to. Are you 26, Representative Gardner? Representative Gardner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I mean, with all due respect to my friend, I'm very uncomfortable with us moving forward at this time. There is a lot of discussion, a lot of confusion, because we worked so long and hard on the billboard bill. I hate to be the person to do this, but I really believe this bill needs additional study. So I would move to table for further discussion.
Not recognize that purpose.
No, hold on. All right. Hold on. I'm going to hold off just 1 minute. I'm going to give Representative Epps. I want to hear from him. We ain't heard from him yet.
Thank you, Mike.
Trying to listen and absorb, Mr. Chairman, but we seem to be moving counterproductive to, I think, where we.
See if your mic's on. I don't know that you're. Is it on? You might need to go over to 14 then. I'm sorry.
Got it?
There you go.
Okay. Thank you. No, I just, I don't want to awaken a sleeping giant in this issue, and I know the work that was put on the other ones. I like the suggestion that maybe all parties involved need to have a presence when we deal with this, and look at it in a more of an understandable and not a he say, she said scenario that will harm where we already have made grounds, and actually be an asset to the author of the bill, and not unjustifiably move on something that doesn't accomplish, I think, what his purpose is. I agree with Representative Garner that.
Well, I'm going to probably recognize her in a minute for that, but I have got the Chairman Burns, who is the billboard king, and when it comes to this law.
I wouldn't say that.
And I would love to hear him.
I'm going to echo what I heard. We worked long and hard, and many have served here longer than I have, worked on this issue for a long time. And with all due respect, I would like to see how many, would have some sense of how many people this affects. Outdoor advertising affected statewide interest when we worked on the bill so intensively and a lot of passion. Does this affect 1, 2 people? Is it a very localized issue? If that's the case, I think we need to maybe step back and take a look at it from that perspective. And some of us in somewhat gave I won't say gave our word per se, but that we would not try to whittle this legislation down over the years as it came back up. And I think, and from my part anyway, on some of the things we did, even though we did not in the legislation address this particular issue, I'd like to see it have more of be some interest and from a statewide perspective of folks that were negatively impacted. Although one constituent is just as important, I certainly grant that, but I'd like to see us take a really close look at it.
Well, can I say one thing?
You can.
Listening to what you said about, I just want to get a question, something answered from you. In your opinion, with you working on the billboard situation, Chairman Hamilton working on the billboard situation, when you look at what we're seeing here, okay, because I'm looking for a solution, and that's why I'm here to get feedback. If it stands the way it is, if we don't want the local government to have any discretion or any involvement with this, I understand that. That's one. The second thing is, if you feel that when they did come up with the 500 feet in this particular law, if that's what we needed to stand behind for a certain reason, then I'm okay with that. Okay, so that's why I'm here to get the expertise from y'all of what we feel about this. If we don't want to give the local control to them, I'm 100% with that, and you don't have to table anything. It's just the respect from y'all that, hey, we leave it the way it is because we did it for a reason and not worry about it. That's the respect I have for the body. To go with, if we want to keep everything in a certain way, 500, and with what they already have in the law, I'm fine with that.
Are you enjoying the bill, Mr. President?
No,
You're right.
All right, Chairman.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is I want to get more feedback to see what you're saying and what you're talking about. I'm not withdrawing at this moment, but.
Well, I think you're fixing to get some feedback, in all honesty, Representative Sharper, and that's with no disrespect. Chairman Burns, you know. All right. I'm going to go to Chairman Reinders, and then I'm going to go back to Representative Gardner. Chairman Reinders.
Thank you. The hardest thing that I tell people all the time that we do up here is to write law where one size fits all, because it doesn't. It changes from Metro Atlanta to Midway. It changes from one city to another, and one size doesn't fit all. I believe that there are sometimes situations where maybe, if it's 490 feet away, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But if it's 5 feet away, I would. So we're trying to get in the weeds and try to fix this. That's really where we're at. We're this close to you losing your bill. That should have almost never happened. My amendment says, if the sign location falls within 100 feet of the 500 feet state law.
Hold on. Let's write this down. as you're going over it right this minute. Jenna, you ready? Okay, Chairman.
If the sign location falls within 100 feet of the 500 feet of current state law, then the local authority may refuse the permit within 45 days, or the waiver is automatically granted. You like that? That forces them to tell you no for a reason.
Right.
That forces them to tell you no for a reason. Now, Mr. Chairman, this is my hope. My hope is.
Jenna, did you get that?
However, you need to clean it up. And here's my thought.
We'll get that read back to us in a minute. Go ahead.
Here's my thought process, Mr. Chairman. We are facing a 30-day kind of situation. We know that. I don't trust. We'll clean it up in the Senate, this and that. But there's a part of me that sits there and goes, if our concern here as a committee is that we don't have input from ACCG and the Municipal Association or the billboard companies, then you know what? They better show up in the Senate.
The ACCG's here.
So is
GMA.
Okay. But, I mean, this grants you a little wiggle room at the local level. I don't want to give the local levels to get pressure from a billboard company from 50 feet away. That'd be silly, y'all. Right. Or 5 feet away. That's not the intent.
Right.
But if it's 10 feet away, I get that.
Right.
But for them to not sit there and do nothing like they did on cell towers doesn't satisfy what you'd want anyway, which is inaction.
Right.
And that's why I think that this is reasonable. I hope the Williams-Reinders amendment is something that my co-sponsor can agree with, since I put his name first.
All right, but I'm going to allow that amendment to be read back to make sure that it's right. Jenna, can you read that back to us?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So, hold on. We'll get to that point in a minute, if we get there. All right. Representative Gardner.
Representative Sharp, I'm trying to think of a way to help you get to a solution. To me, the problem is that the definition of the location in a city or county is much too broad. I mean, you're talking about a very specific kind of a congested area where things are very close together. And I just believe that we need to find a definition that is more limited in order at least for me to be able to help you with this bill.
Good.
I'm going to give you one chance to Representative Sharper to wrap it.
We can wrap it up.
I guess wrap it up, and then I will recognize Representative Gardner for her motion, or Representative Clark for their motion if they choose to make it. But I'm going to give you a chance to make your last-ditch effort.
Okay, when we look at it, most of your cities and counties, when you're concerned on the cities, they have very strict sign ordinances that with what he's recommending, I think that will be the solution of what we're trying to do here. I mean, 100%, I feel that that's the solution to go with what they're recommending.
Okay. All right. A motion to table takes precedence. Do you wish to make that motion?
I will make the motion to table at this time, out of deference to the gentlemen who have worked so hard on this bill and the promises that were made. I would like to table it at this time, and I move.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to table will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The bill's been tabled.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. I want to thank the committee for this year, for helping us to get to day 30. I mean, it's been rough. We're not done for the year, but I'm talking about so far this year to get to day 30. I appreciate all of your willingness to be here, even though we got crunched out of a couple committee days because of the weather. I thank each and every one of you. Make sure that if you tomorrow, please help me if you can with those that you may see. We want to make sure we've got everybody's road naming in here. We think we do, we believe we do, and there's no doubt my staff has done an outstanding job. But as always, something could slip through. And so we want to make sure that everybody's is in here. You got one? Do you mind if we put it on the Senate? Okay. And that's the other thing. Understand, if we don't have them all in here, or if one like Representative Williams has that's in after day,
Thank you.
which was yesterday, basically, to be able to be read and put in here without it being like we done in a minute. It after the day, basically, we can add it to the Senate bill as it comes over. And we always put ours in the Senate. The Senate always puts theirs in ours. That way, we try to make sure nobody gets left behind. The only exception, you can go. You need to go. The only exception is the troopers, and we will keep them totally separate, because I think that they deserve to be a standalone by themselves. So having said that, I have a motion to, I'm going to recognize my chairlady here to us.
Well, first of all, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I would like to say and commend you on an outstanding leadership role that you play in this transportation committee. And I really sincerely mean thank you for all the hard work and for the patience that you have exhibited. I appreciate that. And I make a motion to...
You're talking to former members of the Transportation Committee there now. With that motion to adjourn, I hear a second. All right. With that, we're adjourned. Thank y'all.